right, let's go. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I got my good buddy, the Economic Ninja.
Hey everybody, hope you're doing well.
We're in Cancun. We're going scuba diving tomorrow. And, you know, we're so blessed to be able to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I was telling my buddy today, it's like, man, you know, I have a prepping channel. This is, you know, we're prepping for the apocalypse, but we're also taking advantage of our time on the earth. You know, we only have so much time that we can do this kind of stuff. I think they're about to start locking us down for climate, you know, climate lockdowns and other things. So we're taking advantage of the situation, and while we were here, we're talking to other like-minded people like Johnny Bravo and people like that, and they all have businesses that pay them to own them. And the discussion came up as there sometimes the wife or the husband, I've got both on my channel, one person's not on board, whether it be prepping or rental properties or investments or whatever, you know, the one or the other's not on board. And I know you've kind of lived through that.
Oh yeah, in a very real way.
Yeah, and we're going to discuss that because this is, you know, if one person's not on board, then it really screws up the whole thing. So fill us in on how to deal with that.
So I went through two phases. Back in the early 2000s, I wanted to be a real estate entrepreneur, independently wealthy. I wanted enough money to where I didn't have to work if I didn't want to. And my wife was very against it. She did not want to be rich. And she was the 9-to-5, go, you know, get a good job, go to school, get a good job, and then have a retirement. And it was a little difficult to even buy our first house, quite frankly. But she was very happy when we did. But then, you know, I wanted to go get a rental and another rental, another one. And it did morph and it took off, but it was always a fight. It was always arguing left and right because it was always that when's enough. Why can't you just be happy with what you have? And it takes a lot of work to actually become wealthy. I mean, if anyone tells you it's super easy to get rich, they are straight up lying to you and they want to sell you something. It does take work. Now in the second cycle, in 2010, I started prepping for very hard times, getting ready for this economic cycle. And it's not the apocalypse. I hate even using that word because it's never the apocalypse. I mean, we've seen civilizations build up and collapse down. We've seen, you know, Black Death, plagues, all these things all throughout history, and everybody still survives. There's still a lot of people that make it.
There was apocalypse. There was, the Jews got wiped out. I mean, there was some things that happened. Sometimes I ask people, you know, they were praying to God too. They were, you know, doing.
I got to jump in on this one. There was a really neat broadcast I saw once about a handful of Jewish people that had radio channels back before Hitler was in charge. And they were warning people about the takeover of Germany through Hitler. And they were warning and telling people to leave. Yeah. And they actually left. They all survived. They all made it. Why? Because they saw the signs of the times, and everybody else was the frog in the boiling pot of water, until literally they just closed the gate and locked them up. And that's absolutely horrific. Now, yes, for a lot of people, there will be an apocalypse. For a lot of people, they'll lose everything they've got, and they will have to start over again. I saw a lot of this in the Great Recession, and I heard about stories from my great-grandfather of the Great Depression. However, the people that saw the things ahead, they were able to do something about it. Now, heading back to what you were talking about with your spouse, you know, my wife didn't want to prep either, you know? It was, do you have faith? Where is your faith? All this kind of stuff. Yeah. And my faith is that, yeah, I believe that God warns us and God brings us signs and information and gives us really good heads on our shoulders if we choose to use them. And, I mean, shoot, it's all over the Bible, quite frankly, of being prepared and what happens when you are, because then you get to take advantage of amazing opportunities. And my wife definitely came along. It wasn't until the YouTube channel started that, you know, she got behind me, but it was tough. But now she sits back and, you know, 10 years later, 12 years later, and see, you know, a lot of people tell me, well, it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. I said, you're right. But in the course of preparing, I became wealthy. Yeah. I became wealthy, straight up. I mean, that's true. Just saving money, getting out of debt, and investing. So, I mean, I did the whole gamut, right? Because you can only have so much food. And then you're done. That's what people like. They've got these bunkers. It's like, what are you going to do with all that?
Yeah,
like,
most of that's a joke.
Yeah.
Bug out plans, for the most part, are not realistic. Your bug out bag, you know, I get it. I understand.
I had a bug out bag, but it was because I lived in California and I kept it in my truck. Because if we had an earthquake or a flood and I was cut off from my home, I had a change of clothes, I had
Sure,
some
well-
food, things like that.
You need to be prepared for a chemical spill. Look at Ohio.
Yep.
I mean, look, anything like that, you need to be prepared. Don't get me wrong. You got to have that in place, no matter, not even if it's not for the apocalypse or the dollar dying or any of that other stuff. You need to have a plan B.
Yeah.
Everybody should, right?
Totally, that's just being smart.
So, what did you do? What was the thing that got you and your wife together on these investments?
That's a great question. So that never worked out when we were doing real estate. We were never on board, on the same page. That was a constant fight, constant stress,
That's tough, too.
It was horrible.
That's
Even
tough.
though we kept winning and winning and winning and making money, but that I couldn't handle that. When's enough or you're greedy? I'm like, are you? It takes a lot of money to be independent, honestly. Here, I just went through a time where I was about to be fired because of a decision I had to make over my own body. And that was a great example for anyone that would ever say, when's enough, and you're a stress case. We just lived through a time in history where people got laid off for choosing a health decision.
Forced.
Yeah, horrible.
Literally forced
If that doesn't teach you
to
something,
pick between eating and taking something.
isn't that crazy?
It
Yeah, and so
No
it's
words.
and that is going to get worse. I don't think in the near term it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse in the next decade or two. But that means right now we have a lot of opportunity to be able to prepare. And one way to prepare is just not be on the government dole. Have your home paid for and things like that. But we're getting a little windy.
Got a little windy.
Oh
We're
man,
good.
that's a little tripod right there. You've got a very small tripod. Anyway, but I'll tell you one thing that did help me. On the second cycle, when we were preparing for really hard times coming, and the one thing we were preparing for is hyperinflation. And I believe that we have yet to see it, and we are going to see it. We have eggs hyperinflating and multiple other things hyperinflating. We will see a full-blown hyperinflation in food.
Oh, hang tight.
Are we going to keep going? Yeah. All right. We are experiencing technical difficulties. Oh, there is sand all. This is an action flick right here.
I'll just hold it.
Oh, you're going to hold it. All right.
This place is beautiful.
It is gorgeous. Would you look at that? Would you just
take a
look at
look at
that? But the one thing I did was when we were talking about gold and silver preparing, I showed my wife Mike Maloney's the video on the Hidden Secrets of Money.
That's a good one. Everybody, go watch Mike Maloney's Hidden Secrets of Money. It's eight parts.
I think
to
it's
it.
like 12 now.
Oh, really?
He keeps writing them.
They're really good, and I hope to interview him one day. But everybody should watch that. It'll really kind of, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, it sounds funny, but it's literally like a cartoon with illustrations. So it's
He
like,
did a really good job.
yeah, if you don't get it, you got issues. As a matter of
And,
fact, it's
Mike
very
Maloney
simple.
is dyslexic. He didn't pass like the 3rd grade and all that.
Yeah, and
Did
it
you know
didn't
that?
quit him from being rich.
No, he is a superpower once
Yep.
he figured it out.
Yeah, and
Well-
none of us. I mean, I barely passed high school. I shouldn't have passed high school. I took a couple college classes, and it wasn't for me. But that didn't, my wallet doesn't care about how smart I am.
Right.
Yeah, I
No.
can't spell.
No.
I mean, yeah.
It's different now, guys. And I know we're getting away from what the actual title is going to be. But this is really important. Somebody's going to take something away from this, because I was dyslexic, and it kind of makes you feel dumb growing up because you can't spell real good, and all the stuff that comes with that. But it's actually a superpower, and you can do it. Everybody that's watching this video can absolutely crush it in life, and there's no excuses.
Well, actually, you're not getting off the topic. And the reason why is because the topic is about, if you're not on board with your spouse. And a lot of the times, the spouses that are against you, because you want to be successful, you want to prepare for harder times, but you also want to gain wealth and have options in life, right? Anyone that says that time doesn't buy happiness, it doesn't have any money. Because money buys time. The more money you have in the bank, the less you have to work at your job, and the longer you can go just sitting around and having free thoughts. And when we're talking about this superpower of being able to sort of go against the grain, the people that want a safe job, ask flight attendants and pilots what it was like to work for United, Delta, and all these other companies in 2006, when the Supreme Court actually made an agreement with the airlines to go, you know what? You can go ahead and cancel all of their pensions, take the money, and you can stay open. Ask a pilot, an airline pilot, what that was like. Done. Ask the people at Solyndra or Enron. Enron was one of the largest companies on earth in the early 2000s. Yeah, and it's ask them because there's a lot of people with a safe job and a safe 401k. How'd that work out for them? Well, a lot of you would say, look, they rebuilt. But how would it be if you didn't have to rebuild? How would it be if you didn't have to go through that? And that's what you have to really explain to your spouse, or you have to literally just live by an example and crush it and just go from a win to win to win. And the way you do that is not speculating. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify.
So true.
Yeah, do not go for these massive
I've lost
wins.
every time I've done that. I've lost.
Same as me. I mean, I didn't get to where I was being perfect. I am not perfect. But yeah,
it's worth noting that all the millionaires, the multimillionaires, even the billionaires, they don't buy something and hold it and hope for the best. They actually have businesses that pay them to own them. You know, they have assets that pay them.
yeah.
And that's the biggest takeaway, because I was kind of in the camp before, like, well, you can just, buy gold and silver and buy mining stocks and just hold tight and we're all going to be rich. Or you can buy crypto and it's just going to go up. That's not the case. These guys have businesses that pay them. They have multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
And I know we're getting a little off the topic, but that's okay. This is all part of it, because sometimes your spouse has to be nudged a little bit. You have to be and I can't talk for a woman. I have a lot of women that reach out and say, hey, my husband's not on board. And I don't understand that. I've always been able to talk to my wife and make sense together. And you guys know my wife. She's amazing. My wife is awesome, and she gets it. And we always come together on something, and we go for it. She's my helpmate. She's a very good one. And I hope you guys have that. But if you don't, try to help them see it. Try to help them see the plan, and maybe that'll help, because I don't know.
With me, though, it was if I did something and it was good and it was right and it worked out, then we're over. There's no argument. It worked. We're done. Now let's move on to something else. And there are going to be people that just whine and complain just to fight. And you're like, at the end of the day, it's like, are you helping or are you hindering us? It's a team effort. And if you're going to hurt and just whine, just go sit over there in the corner and let me go win, and I'm going to win for us. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard to deal with that.
Yeah, sometimes, I don't want to say too much, but just if you're struggling with that, I get it. I understand it. Just try to provide the other person with enough safety net. Some people are true gamblers. Some people are.
I was a true gambler.
Yeah, like
I lost
just roll it all on this bet, and you'll lose almost every time. And there's been we knew one guy that he rolled it all on one bet and he won it all. It's the only time I've ever heard of that.
Yeah.
I don't think he's truly happy, but it's about assets. It's about assets that pay you. And if you're struggling getting your wife on board, or your husband, whichever one it is, just work with them. Try to work them through it, talk them through it, explain to them without getting mad. Do not raise your voice.
Yeah.
Do not raise your voice. Let them see it for themselves. Present it. Let them see it. Okay, this is what the wealthy do. And then let them kind of walk through it on their own. Because if you force them to see it, they're not going to see it.
Yeah.
It's very important to understand that. But
well, I actually started a side business, and I worked sometimes when my wife was at work and the kids were at school, and I took all that money and invested it. And I told her, I said, look, it's not taking you any extra time away from me, from the family, and that helped. That was one thing it did help.
And this is completely off topic, but do the dishes. If your wife's working hard, do the dishes for her. That's one thing you can do. Say, hey, I'm going to do this for you. We're going to invest together. We're doing this all together. Try to help each other, and you'll meet in the middle. I couldn't be happier with how that worked out for me. And I hope it works out for you guys. And I hate it that if there's one person that's watching this video that their spouse is not on board, because that is tough. I know somebody that is very, very close to me, and that's the reason they're not crazy successful millionaires, is because one of the persons was not on board through their entire life, and they just gave up. They gave up.
Well, and with me, Mrs. Ninja, she said, I need security. I need to know that, if you go out and do some crazy investments and you lose, we're not going to lose our home or something like that. So what I did is I committed to getting out of debt. This was a while ago. getting everything paid off, and we're just about finished with our last asset. We're going to pay that off hopefully in the next few months, and then we're done, locked up in trusts and different entities, and there's that security too. So adding that security blanket, if you're wanting to go out and buy gold and silver on a credit card, I would understand why your spouse would lose it.
No.
Yeah. Now, if you're willing to go sell something of yours that you don't use to go buy some gold and silver, all right, there you go. Does it affect the bottom line? No.
There's so many channels that push gold and silver the wrong way. They buy it now, it's going away. You're going to get rich if you buy it. That's not it. That is not
Government's
it.
going to seize it if you don't.
All that crap. It's not. Everything's slow. If there's one thing I've learned from this whole thing, is it's slow.
It's
Real
a slow
estate.
train wreck.
It is a slow train wreck, and it's really it's kind of exciting
Oh,
when you
it's
figure it
so
out.
exciting.
Yeah, we're really pumped about buying people's stuff,
Oh yeah.
and really,
And then the people that whine, I can't believe you take advantage. I'm like, I'm just taking advantage of people that thought they were super cool by not getting ready and mock the ones that
you're
were.
taking advantage of the place they put themselves in. You're taking advantage of their poor choices,
Yeah.
not them. Yeah,
Some of them running around with their Gucci slippers with fur sticking out of it.
I wish I'd have got a picture of that. Well, I'll
I
fill you in
got a
later.
picture. I got a picture.
Did you?
Oh yeah, it's gonna
I'll
come out
post a
someday.
picture later. All right, so guys,
Having.
well, I'm not going to say that yet because I want to show them a little bit of where we're at.
Oh.
Cancun.
Okay.
Walk down the beach. This is totally impromptu,
Here,
but
why don't you take
yeah.
the mic then?
yeah, I want to show you
This is
what this
technical.
place looks like. It is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Don't shake a stick to what Dan does.
I got a good one for you today. I've got a good one for you today. So that's where we're going to scuba dive out of tomorrow. Isn't this place beautiful? We actually went out there yesterday. Wasn't much to it. But I'll swap the
Johnny
camera.
Bravo almost broke his back on that thing.
All right, guys, I don't want to keep you any longer. I always want to be respectful of your time. But thank you to the Economic Ninja for coming on.
See you guys.
Guys, have an awesome, awesome day. We'll see you in the next one later.